Good Friday, everybody. I wanted to get on a little bit this morning, and talk about how disappointed I am with so many of you with your comments on different posts that I write. I write the posts to get communication, to get people to talk, to discuss why they believe differently or why they support with what I posted. The name calling people retards, profanity is ridiculous. And the thing was, every single person that did the name calling was Democrats. That's not what a society is about. You know, I remember when Reagan ran, when George Bush ran, you didn't have the name calling that you do now. You had difference of opinions. I'm a moderate. I supported Donald Trump because of the values that he holds that's dear to my heart. And so far, he's doing exactly what the Bible says. That's for those that believe in the Bible. It says any country that goes against Israel will be doomed. It says the Israelites will come to know the Father, at the end times. So he's doing, that's why the Christians have been backing Donald Trump. Churches are preaching on what he's doing is biblical. I was just watching John Hagee the other day. Him, Joel Osteen. I'm not a big fan of Joel Osteen, and some of the other pastors, and they all were talking about Israel, and any country that goes against Israel is going to be doomed in the last days. We know that some of these Middle Eastern countries are evil. It's not the people. Like one young girl that I follow on TikTok was saying, it's not the people that's bad, it's the government. If these kids go against the government, they go and beat up and kill the families. You don't have democracy, but then we in America will complain about the way our country is, but we have the right to vote for who we think would be the best person. Even if some people want to cuss you out, call you names, threaten you for your beliefs. We know what our country needs to do. We know our country needs to stand up for itself and start protecting itself. We know we need to send people back that have committed crimes in the country, not people that came into our country legally and that's working and that's got green cards, but the ones that's doing the human trafficking, which you've been watching in Texas and Florida. They rescued a bunch of kids due to the human trafficking ring. And I agreed with Donald Trump when he said that, and even Congress agreed that the cartel is a gang. They're evil. Not just the cartel. There's people from other countries that's doing similar stuff. But our country should not fall into that trap to allow such things to take place. I'm ashamed of everything I've done wrong in my life. But with what's happening with the human sex trafficking, the drugs, I learned recently that you really can't trust addicts because I was robbed, thinking I was helping somebody out, and it turned out to be, it backfired in my face. You can't trust everybody. That's one reason I've never dated a person out in recovery or anything like that, because I can't take the chance that they will slip up. Not that I hope they do. I really do hope they can overcome and change. And I believe anybody can change as long as they want to. I read some of the comments on Facebook against addicts. People want to just bash them. Sin is sin. I don't care if it's sexual addiction, drug addiction, gambling. It's all equal to God. You can't say one's worse than the others. They all affect people in a different way. I'm going to school now to work in recovery services, and I would like to work with sexual addiction and chemical dependency. I know a lot of people that's addicted to sex, female and male, that are really good people, but they have an issue that they need to work out. Some of these people might have been sexually abused as a child, as I was. Um, and nobody knows really what happened in a person's life. You know, so for us to sit back here and judge people, and just like what people say about Donald Trump, they don't know. They are assuming. That's a problem with our country. You know, especially with what I see on the Democratic side, they want to sit here and push the blame, but we had 4 years of empty promises. We didn't get anything accomplished. Inflation went skyrocketed. People lost their jobs. And it was time to turn things around, and which I believe they will be. But when I read a post, can people try to treat people with respect? Do you really have to call people retards or out of their name? There might be kids watching these posts, and you don't want to have them hear grown-ups cuss and disrespect each other, when in America we're supposed to have the right to have our own opinions. Sometimes they may be wrong, sometimes they may be right, but we still have that right. Just like we have a right of religion. You'll never hear me put down any other faith. I'll share my faith, as I'm supposed to, but I would never put down anybody else for what they believe in. But we got to quit putting people down. I watch the news, and I hear comments, from people about, oh, that person did this or that. Were you there? Just because somebody was convicted does not mean they actually committed the crime. So instead of being so judgmental, and that's one reason so many people go back to prison, is when they come out, they want to succeed. They want a job. They want a place to live. They want to be able to raise their kids. But when you're harassed, threatened, your house being protested or picketed because you move someplace, it's going to push people in the wrong direction. So I blame society for a lot of the people that's going back to prison because of the way society treats people. And even our city of Columbus, the mayor has not done much to help anybody out that's coming out of prison. Mayor Coleman did a great job with some of the programs that he started. The mayor is focused on pretty much only one thing, and I think it is to get his name in the paper. But we have a responsibility, though, especially for those that are Christians, is to do the right thing and to vote our conscience. Even I heard a Catholic priest speak a couple of weeks ago on a podcast, and he said, no Catholic should ever vote Democratic because of their pro-choice stand on abortions. The Pope said the same thing. Yes, I'm pro-life, but that's for a different video. I could understand in the life of the mother, and rape and incest is only 1% of all abortions. But, when people use it as a means of birth control, that's when it becomes wrong. And we do have a responsibility because God created life. He formed our inner parts. He knew the baby before it was born. So, and we all have made poor choices in life, including myself. I got a couple kids who I love very much, and I'm just getting reacquainted with one of them. But I'm just asking people if you could just show a little bit more respect when you talk to people. If you really have a question, or if you really want to debate it with them more, inbox them, but in a polite manner, and give them your viewpoints. Why? When you cuss people out and say this or that, or make accusations without any evidence, you're making yourself look bad, and you're losing it for your cause. And that's why so many people left the Democratic Party. I switched parties to be a Democrat the last election to support a friend, but I'm going back to the Republican side because of what I've seen happening here in Columbus, the way people talk to each other, and how Democrats don't think you have the right to vote the way you feel is the best way for our nation and for yourself. We have that right to vote for the candidate of our choice. And, and I'm hoping people can understand it. Everybody have yourself a great weekend. It is Friday. It's going to be hot. It rained a little bit yesterday, and I'm hoping it rains a little bit today. Have a great day, everybody.